Hello, welcome to this special World Cup edition of Isa Tibolo at Tonishola. I think now we can all attest to it that this has to be the best group stage of the FIFA World Cup ever. We are seeing lots of interesting, shocking, surprising results in Qatar. And yesterday, well, it was no different. But let's start from Group E, where we saw, well, maybe a big surprise, sort of, as Japan lost to Costa Rica. I think many people, after watching the first round of fixtures, could have sworn that Japan was going to win that game. But even despite winning, Costa Rica for me are still the worst performed teams in terms of display and everything. But they did one of the most important things, which was to win. Beautiful goal there from Keisha Fuller. I don't even know if he meant that shot or it was a poor timing from the goalkeeper, because it felt like it was descending when the ball bounced off his hand. But Japan did almost everything they needed to do. The coach made lots of changes to the team that won in the last time out. Maybe he thought he could also win from the bench. This time around, it did not work, as Costa Rica got the needed goal in the 81st minute, and that was all they needed to win that game. And for the clash of the Titans that happened later in the day between Spain and Germany, I think two players have to take the blame for Germany not winning that game. Jamal Musiala and of course Leroy Sané. Both players had opportunities to just square the ball to their teammate to tap into an empty post, but they did what they do best. Decided to play solo and they missed the two chances. Yes, you have to give credit to the goalkeeper for the Musiala save, but again, in football, sometimes you need to do the idiot's job, which is to pass to your teammates, square the ball to them, let them score into an empty net. But apart from that, it was a beautiful, beautiful display from both sides, especially the Germans. I didn't expect them to play that good despite their poor performance in their opening game. But they lived up to the billing. They lived up to why they are four-time world champions. But unfortunately, they couldn't get the win. And Spain, on the other hand, they also did well. I think the goalkeeper, Unai Simon, maybe one or two errors from the passing from the back, but he made up, especially one of them, had the one or two good saves. Overall, both teams deserved the points they got. And the draw in that game, it makes it even more interesting for the final phase, because now Germany have a chance to qualify. Just try as much as you can to win your last match, maybe by a 2-goal margin. I think for Costa Rica, except they win their last match, I don't think there's any chance for them because of the 7 goals they conceded in the first game against Spain. Moving on to Group F games yesterday. Also interesting result, and the big get has to be Morocco defeating the second best team in the world, Belgium, and not just beating them, scoring 2 goals. I think that was a beautiful display for Morocco. Yeah, Belgium had maybe the first 5-10 minutes of the game, and after that, it was all about the Africans, the one-time African champions, and they paid off. In the other time at halftime, they got a goal, but it was chalked up into offside. A free kick direct from Hakim Ziyech. Romain Saiz blocked the goalkeeper, but it was chalked up for offside. The same way they scored another goal. Saiz again blocked the keeper, but fortunately this time around it was onside, and they got the goal from a substitute who just played just 6 minutes before getting the goal. And in Belgium's push for getting an equalizer, boom, they considered another goal. Beautiful, well, you can call it a solo run from Hakim Ziyech, who set past the ball for his teammate and blasted the ball to the roof of the net. 2-0 win, I think, for now. Except something extraordinary happens, Morocco look good to qualify for the round of 16 because they have 4 points now. Just try everything you can not to lose your final group game. And the last game we saw yesterday from Group F was between Canada and Croatia. And Croatia showed exactly why they were finalists at last time out. They conceded first in the 16th minutes with Alphonso Davies' beautiful header. Remember, he had the chance to score in the first game against Belgium but missed the penalty. This time around, he got the goal 68 seconds after kickoff to score the fastest goal in the World Cup so far this season. Interestingly, Croatia considered the fastest goal in Russia. They ended up winning that game on penalties. This time around, they scored 4 goals to win that game. Beautiful display by the Croatians. They dominated the play. They could have scored more than 4, and it was a good win for them. Moving on to the games for today. In Group G, we have African team playing. In Group H, you also have another African team playing. But let's start from the Group G games, where Cameroon will play Serbia. Cameroon in the first game started very well. They had a few chances against Switzerland, but they were not clinical enough. They didn't make their decisions on time, and they couldn't score a goal. Ended up losing that game by a goal. Now they're playing even a better defensive side in Serbia. It will be difficult and tough for them. And I think the coach this time around needs to make tactical decisions. Remember the last time, the man who felt like was our best man on the day, Choupo-Moting, it was subbed off for Abubakar, who was the top goal scorer at the last AFCON. There was nothing wrong in playing both of them up front. It was more like a like-for-like change, not to change approach or style. And I think this time around, if they want to pick anything against the Serbians, they need to be more clinical, they need to be more tactical if they want to pick all 3 points in that game. Because if they do not win, their chances of progressing to the next round will be difficult, because their last game will be against the Seleção of Brazil. I don't see Cameroon even picking a point in that game. A goal itself looks like something huge for them. And the other game will see Brazil take on Switzerland. Switzerland, a good defensive side. They don't score much, but they know how to defend well. Serbia could defend well until they considered 2 brilliant goals in the first game. So Brazil without Neymar this time around, let's see how much they will cope. They still have lots of firing power in Rodrigo Goes, Vinicius Junior, Rafinha, Antonio, Richarlison. Too many guys going forward, but without Neymar, how will they cope this time around? It will be good to see against a very good defensive side in Switzerland. Moving on to the other group, in Group H, the final group. Today ends the match day, 2 games. Then we'll see what happens from tomorrow. But for today's game in Group H, we'll see Ghana taking on South Korea. South Korea in the first game against Uruguay showed they were not pushovers. They attacked well. They defended so good as well. But this time around, Ghana, who fought hard, they were this close to getting a lead equalizer against Portugal. Will they bring in the same form against South Korea? Will they fight hard? Will Adria Ayew and Jordan Ayew be the key this time? I remember the substitutions. Even though I thought the taking out of the older Ayew cost them a bit. Remember, it was immediately took him out, they considered goals. Will they decide to let him play longer in this game? How will they cope? They need to take chances. They need to score goals if they want to beat South Korea. And again, remember, there's a certain man who, against all the odds, got fit to play this game for South Korea. His name is Son, with all the Kim and everything. I think South Korea are solid. I think they are rock solid. They can play well, they can attack, they can defend. If Ghana come up with their A game like they did in the second half or after conceding against Portugal, I think they will have what it takes to pick a point, at least against South Korea. But man, if they start the same way they started against Portugal, it could be worse for them. And the final game we have has to be Portugal against Uruguay. This is a rematch of what we saw in the second round of the 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia, where Uruguay won that game 2-1. This looks like a revenge for Portugal. They probably are in a better side, but for Uruguay, they have a blend of both young and old. So how will they cope? Darwin Núñez needs to score this time around. The few chances he missed in the last game could cost them. Will the coach go for Núñez and Suarez again, or decide to mix it up with the Edison Cavani? Of course, the young guys still in the midfield, the Federico Valverde, the Bentancur. These guys will pose threats to Portugal. Portugal on paper have better players, especially in the middle of the park, but if they don't lead to the building, they don't come together as a unit, it could cost them. So for our predictions, Cameroon and Serbia, I think the game will be all 3 points for Serbia, maybe a narrow draw for Cameroon. And in the other group, Brazil, no matter what Switzerland bring, I think the Seleção will walk past Switzerland. And in Group H, Ghana against South Korea. Woof. I think a draw, maybe another win for South Korea. For Portugal versus Uruguay, I'll give it a draw. It's even difficult predicting these days, but I have to do my job. Thank you very much, guys, for watching today's edition of Besides Boulevard Special. Don't forget, special World Cup edition. Please like, share, and subscribe. Your subscription is very, very important. And guess what? It's free. Again, till we come here another time. Have a beautiful spot today. Goodbye.